Dear friends, my name is Operator Starsky, and this is day 1006 of Russia's disastrous invasion of Ukraine. Muscovite invaders destroyed civilian heating power plant in Kurakhove. Good Ukrainian drones visited Russian military factory in Kaluga. The international terrorist group Russian Federation weaponizes civilian aviation. And Russian intercontinental ballistic missile hit Joe Rogan. This is the Frontline Focus. Let's roll. The civilian heating power plant in Kurakhove has been completely destroyed by the Russian terrorists yesterday. Ukrainian authorities report that after numerous Russian strikes, including the last one involving a guided bomb, the power plant lost its pipes and stopped functioning. Fact is, Russians claim they liberate the citizens of Donbass from Ukraine. Also, they liberate them from lives, jobs, heating, and electricity. The energy situation in Ukraine can be described as critical. However, the engineers and specialists do all they can to provide Ukrainian citizens with the capabilities to withstand the upcoming winter. The Ukrainian energy expert Stanislav Ignatiev predicted that the planned blackouts in Ukraine may be possibly cancelled by the end of this week. In the meantime, Russians are busy cancelling their peaceful life and their future. Happy Russian citizens of Kaluga tonight felt extremely lucky to see the war they've started in Ukraine finally returning home. A swarm of good Ukrainian drones visited a military factory Typhoon where the Russian terrorists were producing things like radio electronic equipment, guiding and observation systems for the military vehicles, as well as equipment for the Russian military aviation and missiles. Good Ukrainian drones also hit local Russian refinery, apparently because they were concerned about the climate change, which I completely approve. The Russian media traditionally stated that nothing was hit, it was just the debris, there's absolutely nothing to worry about. Please be happy and love Putin. Also, Russians reported that Kursk was attacked with ATACMS tonight. We don't know much details on that, but we know that this morning the terrorist Russian Federation hit Kharkiv using S-400 missile systems. Also, civilian housing quarters were destroyed in Odessa downtown. A child was injured during the terror Russian attack in Zaporizhia. In total, 145 drones were launched tonight by the desperate Russian terrorists against Ukraine. The air defense reported intercepting 71. Adopting the best terrorist experience of bin Laden, the Russians actively involve civilian aviation to spread terror around the world. Earlier this month, it was officially reported that the Russians attempted to deliver incendiary bombs on board of cargo airplanes heading to the US and Canada. In July, several suspicious explosions took place at the logistic terminals of DHL in Leipzig and Birmingham. And today, another disaster happened in Vilnius. A DHL cargo airplane crashed into a house, killing a pilot and injuring 2 more people on board. So far, it's too early to make conclusions, could be anything from malfunction to a pilot's error. But the fact is, Russia is known for committing acts of terror and sabotage around the world. Recently declassified documents presented by the US intelligence confirmed that Russia was involved in numerous assassinations of Putin's political opponents between 2000 and 2016. Among them, by the way, was Ukraine's ex-president Viktor Yushchenko, who survived poisoning with the combat chemicals in September of 2004. France announced that Ukraine was allowed to strike Russian targets using the long-range weapons provided by this absolutely amazing country. Last week, already several cases of using long-range cruise missiles were reported in Kursk Oblast. For example, like the recent strike on the enemy headquarters in the Russian Marina, where combined Russian North Korean troops fighting against Ukraine took heavy casualties, losing Russian General Solodchuk and several high-ranked North Koreans. As you probably know, the terrorist group Russian Federation responded to the long-range Ukrainian strikes by hitting Dnipro with their ICBM. What's interesting about the strike is that several intelligence and defense agencies, including the US Department of Defense, warned about Russia preparing to hit Ukraine with RS-26 Rubezh. After the strike, internationally wanted war criminal Putin made a statement that Ukraine was actually hit with a missile that nobody has ever heard about. They called it Oreshnik or Hazel. And the reason they did it was because the RS-26 Rubezh was produced in Russia in violation of international treaties. Of course, terror Russia doesn't want this fact to be public. But at the same time, Ukraine wasn't really a target. As it turned out, the true target was Joe Rogan. On his recent show, he went completely hysterical, basically calling Ukrainians to finally die and save the world from the Russian nuclear apocalypse.
What I don't feel safer is right now they're launching missiles into Russia. How are you allowed to do that when you're on the way out? Like, people are about to start World War III. Yeah, they fired an intercontinental ballistic missile for the first time ever. It's the first time one of those has ever been used, because those intercontinental ballistic missiles can have nukes on them. This one didn't, but if it does, come to the negotiation table, sit down, work this out, stop killing everybody.
Those evil Ukrainians just can't stop defending themselves and finally die, Joe. People like Joe Rogan have absolutely no idea why Ukrainians won't stop fighting back and just disappear as a nation. How can it be? Why? But since so many people are wondering why Ukrainians can't finally die, as a Ukrainian I can shed light on this mystery. It's because people in Ukraine have this interesting biological feature. They have guts, dignity, and courage. Joe Rogan has obviously never heard of those, but I think he still has a chance to grow a pair, for example, if he invites Volodymyr Klitschko to his studio. Dear friends, please subscribe to stay informed about the most important updates and share this content to help Ukraine to be heard. See you in the commentaries. I'm Operator Starsky. As always, be safe.